Now, the allegations come at a time of great uncertainty at the Fed. The US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says there are now 11 candidates to replace Chair Powell, and those interviews will begin around Labor Day. CNBC is reporting the list includes the former Fed officials, prominent economists and others. Jim Bullard is one of those under consideration. He's the former president of the St. Louis Federal Reserve, currently serves as the dean at the Mitch Daniels School of Business at Purdue. Mr. President, all right, I often leave the difficult or tricky question to the end, but let's get it out the way right at the beginning so that we can get down to brass tacks of economics. If offered, would you serve? Do you expect to be interviewed? Tell me what you'd like to tell me about the possibility of you being the Fed chair.
I have been in contact with the Treasury Secretary and the Treasury Secretary's office, and we'll get together for an interview in the coming weeks after Labor Day. But at this point, that is still under construction. I've said that I would accept the job as long as we were set up for success, which I would define as defending low and stable inflation in the United States, defending the reserve currency status of the dollar, and defending the independence of the Federal Reserve. So those three conditions would have to be met. But yes, I would accept.
What do you make of this Lisa Cook business? The allegations have been made. The pressure is on. I suppose the question is, should she resign?
The DOJ would have to decide if they want to look into this further. They have many things on their docket. This would have been reviewed, as I understand it, when she would have been confirmed for the Senate. So I think you'd want to look at that again and see where that's at. So, I think the mere accusation maybe is not the right moment. You'd have to check this out further.
Let's talk on firm ground of economics now. You're nailing your colours firmly to the mast on tariffs and inflation, a one-off shock, and you don't believe that that's going to feed into a spiral of inflation. But even so, as a one-off shock, you still regard there to be room for cutting rates sooner rather than later, correct? Is that right?
I've said that the policy rate is somewhat high for the situation, so I think that the committee does have room to move the policy rate lower. I've suggested a path of 100 basis points over the next year. I think that if you take typical rules that are used and calibrate this, you would find that you get the current policy rate a little bit higher than what you would really need to fight the remaining bit of inflation that remains above target. So I think that's why the committee has room. I think they'll go 25 basis points in September, and they won't make too many promises, but I think they'll end up going another 25 basis points in December. And then what I'm suggesting is you could continue that into next year. If the data cooperates, you can move that up and move faster.
So if you do that, are you in the school of thought that says, well, over the long term, the 2%, et cetera, or would you be in favor of changing the inflation target? Because there comes a point, let's say you lower rates by, if you wanted, up to 100 basis points, that is certainly going to put some petrol on the flames, as we would say. And it will make it almost impossible to get back to 2% in the medium term.
I would definitely not change the inflation target. I think that's become an international standard. I think if the United States went off that international standard, you would set up a period of chaos like the 1970s, where you had high and variable inflation really around the world. It took years and years to get that under control, so you really don't want to go back to anything like that. The 2% target, though, I think can be hit and will be hit, but you want inflation to asymptote slowly and nicely into the 2% target. And that's why you have a little bit of room to bring down rates toward the neutral rate, closer to neutral, as inflation continues to come down toward target. And like I say, if the data doesn't cooperate, then the committee has to adjust that plan. But that's the basic plan at this point.
I was interested, one of your, I was going to say preconditions for top job at Fed is the independence of the Fed. And yet at the same time, this onslaught of attacks from the administration against the chair, now against one of the members, but let's stick with the chair for the moment. How do you reconcile that? I mean, yes, the president is entitled to fire, as many verbal volleys as he likes, but it doesn't do much for the morale of the Fed, or indeed the public perception of the Fed.
Yeah, the Fed does what it does and acts like it does because of the Federal Reserve Act. So this is all occurring under U.S. law. If the administration and the Congress want to change the law, they certainly can do that, and they have done it a few times in the past. But basically, they're very happy with the arrangement. And so I think that we all need to respect that arrangement and make monetary policy according to this, according to the act. That means that the decisions are made by the Federal Open Market Committee. The members are appointed according to the rules. They roll over on a slow basis, partly to stay at arm's length from day-to-day politics. If you let day-to-day politics come in, that's a very noisy process. Then you get noisier policy, noisier rates in markets, and investors have to protect themselves against that. You get a risk premium in rates. Everyone's paying higher rates all the time. You don't want that. So you want a smoother process. I think the law provides that. Congress has looked at it many times over the years, and they're pretty happy with it. So I think we all have to settle down and say, well, that's how we're going to make policy.
Right. Sir, if you are selected, I hope we can look forward. If you're given the nod and touched by the sword, as they say, I hope you will come on Cressway's Business at some point during that term of office. But even so, whether or not, you always have a standing invitation to come and talk to us here, sir. I'm very grateful for your time tonight.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind.